Oh, all right. Let's do this. I'm getting warmed up. What are we talking about?
I come from Swat Valley in Pakistan.
A region where rifles are fired to celebrate the birth of a son.
Where I grew up, girls are afraid to go to school.
But I'm not afraid.
I believe that education is a universal human.
I believe that one child,
One teacher,
One book,
and one pen can change the world.
Schools were attacked.
I was shot on a Tuesday at lunchtime.
One bullet,
One bullet.
One bullet.
one gunshot heard around the world.
But here I stand.
I am Malala.
The story of Malala Yousafzai begins here in Pakistan.
वो जुग जुग जीवे मेरा मुर्शिद सोना अते जिसे बूटी लाई हूँ पीर मेरे जुगनी जी तेरे अल्लाह वाले अली जुगनी जी तेरे अल्लाह वाले अली जुगनी जी तेरे नबी पाक दी जुगनी जी तेरे नबी पाक दी जुगनी जी तेरे मौला अली वाली जुगनी जी
से बड़े वक्तों से बड़े वक्तों नराशिलाशी से बड़े वक्तों नराशिलाशी मीन पवत बतलो रातलो करजी
Malala
Yousafzai is a teenager from the Swat Valley of Pakistan, a region bordering northeast Afghanistan, a place defined by high mountains, green meadows, clear waters, and bloody conflict.
I have rights. I have the right of education. I have the right to play. I have the right to sing. I have the right to talk. I have the right to go to market. I have the right to speak up.
By the age of 12, Malala was an activist. In 2009, she wrote a diary for the BBC, which described the atrocious deeds of the Taliban and advocated equal opportunities in education for women. In 2011, Malala was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize, and in December of that year, received Pakistan's first National Youth Peace Prize for her efforts. She also received death threats. Malala was repeatedly warned by the Taliban to be silent, to immediately discontinue her public criticisms, and to stop speaking out for the obviously inferior gender. In the eyes of the Taliban, Malala and all women were to submit and accept their place in the order of things. But Malala was not silent.
She grew up surrounded by women with hidden faces and men in the shadows who destroyed girls' schools, threw acid at the faces of girl students.
To the Pakistani Taliban, her words were as dangerous as any weapon of warfare because they challenged the order of things, because they insisted that fanatical men did not deserve to be the masters of her world, because they were spoken by a defiant, free, female voice. For this, the Pakistani Taliban declared war on a little girl, because she was the symbol of the infidels and obscenity.
Here. While boys' schools remain open, more than 200 schools for girls have been blown up by the Taliban. At one of the remaining schools, a student who is veiled to protect her identity speaks out.
The title of my speech is The Situation in Swat Valley. The paradise on earth is in the northwest of Pakistan. Today, this idyllic valley of peace is burning. Why the peace of this valley is destroyed? Why we the peace and innocent people of the valley are targeted? Why our future is targeted? Schools are not places of learning, but places of fear and violence. Who will solve our problems? Who will return our valley to peace? I think nobody, no one. Our dreams are shattered, and let me say we are destroyed.
About a quarter of the residents have left Swat, leaving behind a ghost town. China Market once bustled with female shoppers. Now they are banned by the Taliban. And vendors are afraid to speak out. In Swat, only one business still thrives. Citizens are voracious for news. But news here can be devastating. Come nighttime, the Taliban issue threats on FM radio. It is January 14th, the night before the ban. Tomorrow, 50,000 schoolgirls will lose their education. Tensions are especially high in this house. We spent 48 hours documenting this family's crisis.
Tomorrow is the deadline, 15 January.
Zahuddin Yusufzai owns a private school for girls. It has supported his family for 14 years. Tomorrow he will be forced to close its doors. His 11-year-old daughter, Malala, faces the end of her education.
When I saw her for the first time, a very newborn child, and I looked into her eyes, I fell in love with her, believe me. I love her. I love her.
The family doesn't know what they will do come tomorrow, but one thing has been decided: they won't leave SWAT.
I may get brain hemorrhage because of that pressure. That's why I left my people in hard days. I should have been beside them. I must bring them out from that quagmire. This is my duty. And if I die for it, I think there will be no better chance for me to die better than this.
On the last school night, Zahuddin hopes the Taliban will change their mind against closing the girls' schools.
It's not catching today.
Tonight, the Pakistani military has blocked the Taliban's transmission. But on the ground, there is little doubt who is in control. There are 12,000 Pakistani troops in SWAT. They are ever present in the capital, Mingora, where they are targeting Taliban cells like this one.
To the Pakistani Taliban, her words were as dangerous as any weapon of warfare because they challenged the order of things, because they insisted that fanatical men did not deserve to be the masters of her world, because they were spoken by a defiant, free, female voice. For this, the Pakistani Taliban declared war on a little girl, because she was the symbol of the infidels and obscenity.
Here. While boys' schools remain open, more than 200 schools for girls have been blown up by the Taliban. At one of the remaining schools, a student who is veiled to protect her identity speaks out.
The title of my speech is The Situation in Swat Valley. The paradise on earth is in the northwest of Pakistan. Today, this idyllic valley of peace is burning. Why the peace of this valley is destroyed? Why we the peace and innocent people of the valley are targeted? Why our future is targeted? Schools are not places of learning, but places of fear and violence. Who will solve our problems? Who will return our valley to peace? I think nobody, no one. Our dreams are shattered, and let me say we are destroyed.
About a quarter of the residents have left SWAT, leaving behind a ghost town. China Market once bustled with female shoppers. Now they are banned by the Taliban. And vendors are afraid to speak out. In SWAT, only one business still thrives. Citizens are voracious for news. But news here can be devastating. Come nighttime, the Taliban issue threats on FM radio. It is January 14th, the night before the ban. Tomorrow, 50,000 schoolgirls will lose their education. Tensions are especially high in this house. We spent 48 hours documenting this family's crisis.
Tomorrow the deadline, 15 January.
Zahuddin Yusufzai owns a private school for girls. It has supported his family for 14 years. Tomorrow he will be forced to close its doors. His 11-year-old daughter, Malala, faces the end of her education.
when I saw her for the first time, a very newborn child, and I looked into her eyes, I fell in love with her, believe me. I love her. I love her.
The family doesn't know what they will do come tomorrow, but one thing has been decided: they won't leave SWAT.
I may get brain hemorrhage because of that pressure. That's why I left my people in hard days. I should have been beside them. I must bring them out from that quagmire. This is my duty. And if I die for it, I think there will be no better chance for me to die better than this.
On the last school night, Zahuddin hopes the Taliban will change their mind against closing the girls' schools.
It's not catching tonight.
Tonight, the Pakistani military has blocked the Taliban's transmission. But on the ground, there is little doubt who is in control. There are 12,000 Pakistani troops in SWAT. They are ever present in the capital, Mangora, where they are targeting Taliban cells like this one.
October the 9th, 2012 was a normal school day for Malala and her friends.
We were having exam that week, and the paper on the 9th of October went very well. It was of Pakistan studies, but the paper one day before was of physics. I love physics, but it was hard.
After a busy day of exams, they spilled out of the school gates just as these girls are doing today and began their journey home.
I love to go on foot, but my mother told me that you must not go on foot now and you must go in a bus, then you will be safe.
Along with Malala and her best friend Muniba, fellow students Kainat and Shazia were also on the bus that day.
Malala's friend was first in line, and then Malala, and next to Malala was Shazia, and I was next to Shazia.
We were about to get to the crossing where we turned towards Malala's home to drop her off first.
A year ago, in October 2012, she was on a school bus, like the one children still ride in Pakistan. Her friends were singing.
On the day when I was shot, all of my friends' faces were covered, except mine.
Was that wise? It was brave, but was it wise?
At that time of my head, I wanted to live my life as I want.
She says she noticed on that day the road was strangely quiet.
I didn't see those men. I just could see like there is no one. There used to be a huge crowd on that road, and on that day there was no one.
Two men approached.
I was just talking to Muniba, having gossip, and everything seemed as normal part of life. But when we went just further, I could see that there was no one at that time. And then I don't remember what happened.
The road was just like a curve, and when the van gets there, it slows down. When we reached that point, two boys appeared who I'd never seen before.
They were just like college boys, they're students like.
One of them came on the back and asked, "Who is Malala Yousafzai?"
She was very scared at that time. She doesn't tell me anything.
So all of us looked first towards Malala, then towards the man. So he knew she must be Malala.
Then he fired straight at her.
Sorrow, depression, all of your hate, your jealousy, your longing for violence. You cannot run from us. There is no nook, cranny, or hole in the earth which you
tens of thousands of people in Pakistan have rallied in support of schoolgirl Malala Yousafzai, who was shot by the Taliban.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christiana Manpour, and welcome to a CNN special presentation, The Bravest Girl in the World.
And now we head to Pakistan. On October 9th, it will mark 1 year since Malala Yousafzai, a Pakistani schoolgirl and activist for girls' education rights, was shot in the head by the Taliban.
Just 1 year ago, Malala Yousafzai was recovering in a hospital bed after Pakistan's Taliban tried to kill her. Now she's among the most famous girls in the world, a 16-year-old activist who still receives death threats from the Taliban.
A 15-year-old Pakistani girl known for her political activism and a recent attack on her life is set to have her last surgeries.
Girl reading a book, a symbol of the very education the Taliban wishes to deny. Schools have been renamed for her. Petitions for girls' education are being circulated in her honor. And for the moment, millions of eyes are opened to the brutal, cowardly, oppressive cultures that seek to keep women's rights, to keep human rights.
But ultimately, Malala flew to the UK, where she continued treatment at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. But Malala's injuries were so severe. Others stood in support of her efforts through rallies, holding up her picture and demanding change. Malala was discharged from the hospital in January and underwent reconstructive surgery a month later. Malala is attending school in the UK, but she continues her fight for education, and worldwide support for her continues despite threats from the Taliban.
The attack was ordered by this man, Mullah Fazlullah, who has just been elected new leader of the Taliban in Pakistan.
You are afraid of that person, so why should I be afraid of someone who is afraid of me already?
It's that kind of determination that has won Malala international praise and made her an unstoppable force in the fight for girls' education. Celebrities, politicians, and royals clamor for her company. For the first time, she tells us about her rare half-hour meeting with President Obama in the Oval Office, where this 16-year-old girl raised one of the most sensitive issues in U.S.-Pakistani relations.
And in the month of January 2009, they said that no girl is allowed to go to school. And at that time, I said, why shall we be silent? Why don't we speak up for our rights? Why don't we tell the world what is happening in Swat? And I did not want Swat to be a next Afghanistan, because this is what was happening in Afghanistan at that time as well, and it's still happening in Afghanistan. But in Swat we said, let us speak up for our rights.
It's incredible to me that you and your classmates would still get up in the morning and hide your books and go to school. What kind of courage does it take to do that when so many other people wouldn't stand up to the Taliban and would stay home?
The first thing is that it shows the courage of women and it shows the courage of girls. We loved education, we loved our books. Before the terrorism, I used to carry a heavy bag to school and I used to learn every day, but I did not know how important education is until we were stopped, because I realized that the terrorists are against education, and especially girls' education, because they are afraid of it. Why are they stopping it? Because simply they are afraid of educated women, they are afraid of the power of knowledge. So at that time, we girls said, we women said, that we are not afraid of them. Even they are afraid of us. That's why they are killing us. That's why they are blowing up our schools. This shows a sign. They shot me. They are shooting other girls. They are killing people. It shows a great symbol of the cowardice. Like, it shows us that those terrorists who are killing people do not have the courage. They are not brave at all. They are afraid of the power of women, and it shows that women are courageous.
Know that we were all mesmerized by you speaking at the UN. I was wondering what was going through your mind as you got up to speak to all of those people and to the people beyond that room.
When I stood there,
I could see more than millions, more than 4 and 5 and 6 millions of people. I could see the people of Pakistan who are suffering from terrorism. I could see the people of Afghanistan who are suffering from the violence of terrorism. I could see the people of Syria and Nigeria. And that is why I said, Malala, speak up for their rights and for your rights. And speak up that education is the only solution for it.
I have something I want to show you. You have two girlfriends who were with you that day.
Oh, yes.
They were injured, and we went to see them, and they sent a message to you.
Shall I hold it?
Yes, you may.
Hi Malala, कैसे आप जो अपनी सिलसिला जारी रखते हो हम सब आपके साथ हैं और शाजिया भी और मैं
Shazia and Kainat rode the same school bus, shot by the same Taliban's gun. Bullets pierced through Shazia's hand and shoulder. Kainat was hit in the neck. In that moment, they too forever ceased to be ordinary schoolgirls. 15-year-old Shazia has been here for 3 months. Kainat, older at 17, only arrived in September. It's her first interview since, and yet, listen closely and the change is evident.
In Swat, we didn't have much freedom. I can do whatever I want here.
Like in Pakistan, I am sleeping in the middle of night is blasting. So everyone, my brother and me, and like all is scary because in the middle of the night is bomb blast.
What they had to contend with at times just to get an education. Both their families seen as targets and forced to move.
People were very scared, especially after the Malala incident. They blew up a bomb behind my house, and after that, the fear grew a lot.
An idyllic world away, such concerns are hard to imagine, never mind comprehend. Yet even in the UK, even in Canada, there are girls regularly denied an education. They too are determined to realize their shared, long-time dream of becoming doctors. After that, they say, despite everything, they want to go home. They insist. They are not afraid.
I will ask like complete my study so I will go back and help these people and help these girls. हम सब पाकिस्तान की लड़कियां आपके साथ हैं. आप ये ना समझे कि मैं अकेली हूँ. हम सब पाकिस्तान की लड़कियां आपके साथ हैं और आप जो सिलसिला जारी रखना चाहती हैं, इंशाल्लाह हम भी आपके लिए दुआ करेंगे कि वो आप इसी तरह से जारी रखें. Thank you, Malala.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, well, I'm glad you got to see them.
I didn't know.
You know that you are nominated for a Nobel Prize. It's coming Friday. What's it like to be nominated, the youngest nominee ever?
It feels like it's an honor, and the thing that I can feel in Nobel Peace Prize is not like getting Nobel Peace Prize, but I can see like people have said to give Malala the Nobel Peace Prize. So when I look at the support of people, that is really important for me. It is really a great honor for me that people said give it to Malala.
You know, the Taliban shot you because they wanted to silence you. Instead, they gave you a bigger voice.
Yes, because they only thought that they would just silence me. But they wanted to silence one Malala, but instead now thousands and hundreds and millions of Malalas are speaking. And of voices.
I am Malala! I am Malala!
Strength, power and courage was born.
We are Malala!
Malala Yousafzai's story is a compelling one. Unfortunately, it is not a new story. Every day, atrocities like this are committed around the world. And for thousands of years, tyrants have been terrified that those under their control will rise up and wield the most dangerous weapon of all: an idea. This is a critical moment. This horrific act of violence and oppression charges us to take a long, hard look at things and decide that we cannot, We will not stand quietly as our fellow human beings are tortured and executed for the crime of thinking for themselves. That we refuse to be threatened into submission, and that we will not stop fighting until those oppressed are physically and intellectually free. Thank you, Malala, for showing us how powerful a single voice can be, for providing an example of real courage, and for reminding us that the fight for human rights is not the responsibility of any one person, but is instead the responsibility of us all.
I raise the voice of Syrian children who are deprived of education. They need our support, and that's why we should help them. We should raise our voice and support them through donations. So please support us and go to our website, malalafund.org. Thank you.